that you could actually implement. So they're going to show us, you're with me, right? They're going to show us, I think we're missing one person for one of that one, but we can't, yeah. They're going to show us, this is specifically from the section where it's subject preferences and how it could be utilized to enhance the learning process. So you're going to see 3 different scenarios, and at the end, somebody will explain it just in case you didn't get it. So I now hand over the mic.
All right. So we had some discussions on different subjects and how we could approach them using social media and how... Oh, yeah. My name is Jason Brown. I am from the UE Western Jamaica campus. I'm a student of digital media production. And this was a great session. All of the persons involved had a lot to say about social media and how
Pleasant afternoon, everyone. My name is Ashan Stewart. I'm representing Keith Campbell, the CEO of the PBCJ. And I'll be elucidating on the PBCJ Youth Consultation 2017. Established to preserve, promote, and exhibit our rich cultural heritage while ensuring that we inform and educate our citizenry, and in keeping with the 2030 vision of the government of Jamaica, the PBCJ is guided by the following core values: fairness, accountability, reliability, excellence, citizens, and citizen centricity. Give an interpretation, my interpretation.
Welcome to Jamaica, man. Me not cheat nobody. Me not bad. Take responsibility for your action. Me can't depend on you.
So what we did there was we had him speaking in standard English, bringing the information to you, and then we had his translator speaking in patois. So persons who are there looking at this presentation would have a different use of language, because one of the things that we recognize is a lot of times in developing and delivering information, we separate people in terms of our use of language. So that's what we were showing there.
My name is Deborah Bukal, and we'll be presenting on current affairs.
Good afternoon, audience. This is PYC News, and today we're looking at Southeast St. Mary in the elections. It seems like Dr. Norman Dunn has been leading the elections by 5%, but don't quote Dr. Shane Alexis out yet, because most of the boxes haven't been counted yet. I now go to my partner, Dr. Wayne Williams. He will tell us more about this.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. My party look very good. You know, green and orange, you know, my color, my lovely color. You know, the boxes are full. You do your vote?
No, sir.
You should vote. Vote for me. Vote for me. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. I close my broadcast.
So there we had a current affairs issue being presented to you via the internet, bringing you particularly from one area, beaming out to everyone.
Health and ethics.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Ian McIntosh, and I'm representing for PYC Radio, Positive Youth Communication, under our parent company, PBCJ. Tonight, our topic is sex and dysfunction among men. Now, we have our guest on the phone line. We're going to call Uncle Socks. Uncle Socks, you're there?
Oh, you mean, my youth? Oh, you mean? Me there, you know.
So, Uncle Socks, our program tonight focuses on men with dysfunction. We use your alias because we don't want the crowd to know who we're talking about. Tell us your story.
You wanna know, so one night me check in for my little small lens and find out that certain things not right, no, my lad. So me get to find out that something not going on, my lad. So we check the pharmacy and they say me have that's something that we say a while ago.
Erectile dysfunction, sir?
Yeah, that's something there, yeah. So, me link me waiting when him tough crackers and him tell me if we check the pharmacy down there, so.
So, do you think the issue is being addressed among men properly?
You wanna know, say nobody else no want admit to them do it, you know, my lad. They come like me alone and the whole world do it, you know. I'm a virgin tough crackers. Anyway.
Also on line 2, we have Tough Crackers who wants to share his story. Yo, my lad, me no know what make Uncle Socks bring me in a this, no, my lad. Okay, thank you, Tough Crackers. So this is your program, Sex and Dysfunction. Next week we will be dealing with social graces. We also want to thank those on the text line and those who are listening to us at pbcjamaica.com. This is your host, Ian McIntosh. Good evening.
Lastly, they will share the recommendations that they have for PBCJ.
So coming out of our discussions, we had recommendations of investing in more indigenous content from Jamaica for Jamaica, inclusion of youth in social media management, and particularly looking at the way audiences are attracted to influencers. So you'd have a younger influencer for their audience and an older influencer for an older audience, depending on the context. Use of younger program managers, because then that will inform the sort of content that you create in a way that will impact on the younger audience. And use of patois, because we understand again that language is very important, I think even more so than platform, which we're very sort of focused on here. I think language in content is even more important. And media training. Media training is, I think, essential for the youth audience, because now everyone is a content creator. Everyone has a camera in their hands. Everyone can, focus on recording very quickly. So those were our recommendations.
All right. Well, PBCJ, you've heard from the youths now. The ball is in your court.
Okay, I thought that was very good, Team 2. You clearly had a lot of excitement in your session. Are there any questions from the floor? Anybody from the PBCJ side, would you like to ask any questions based on some of the things you heard from 2? We'll hang on for that. We'll come back to that if needs be. All right, are we ready now, Team 1?
Good afternoon, friends. I'm Elaine Wind, facilitator for Team 1. And just to let you know, our area of focus, characteristics of youth cohorts, content interest, and preferred time of the day. We sought to provide some interesting way of communicating with you, but before we get into the presentation, I'm going to ask my team to introduce themselves so that you can get an idea of the variety of people in this team. So they will just come up in a line, one by one, and then just turn and form the line again. Okay? So let's go.
Good afternoon. My name is Sanali Barrett. I'm from St. James, and I'm a student at the University of the West Indies, Western Jamaica campus.
doing law.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abigail Bukal. I am from the parish of Trelawney, and I'm a volunteer at the Duncan's All Age School.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Whitney Weston. I am a fifth form student at York Castle High, and I am from the parish of Trelawney.
Thank you. Somebody from York Castle is back there.
A pleasant good afternoon. My name is Jordan Waite, and I'm a singer, songwriter, and producer. I'm from Montego Bay, Jamaica. Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sudan Bowen from Manning School, currently pursuing the sciences in upper six.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Akeem Marston, and I'm a fifth form student at Gallimore High School. I'm from St. Anne, sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tajwain Hines from Westmoreland, and I'm currently going to the Green Hill High School, and I'm doing business.
Welcome, sir. Very mixed group.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carl Brown. I am from St. Anne, and I currently attend the Northern Caribbean University, where I am doing mass communication. I'm also in third year. Thank you.
And Carl is our note taker. You'll be hearing more from him.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anthony Beckford, and I'm a student of the Manning School pursuing the creative arts.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tanisha Greenland. I work at LGS Production Gospel Recording Studio. I'm a songwriter, upcoming gospel artist. I'm a dance teacher also, and I'm from St. Anne.
Welcome.
Greetings all, I'm Gabrielle Thompson, final year journalism major at NCU and broadcast journalist at NCU FM, and I'm from St. Anne.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Floyd Perkins. I am from Montego Bay. I am currently enrolled in Cornwall College's sixth form program.
Thank you very much, everyone. So we had a wonderful discussion, ladies and gentlemen. And what we found as the discussion was going along, at a point, there was almost a rhythm developing in the conversation. And we said, wow, why we don't use this rhythm and just develop something, right, Carl? So here they go. They're going to talk to you about characteristics of the youth cohort.
Okay, everyone. All right, so it goes a bit something like this. Them say you're self-centered. Them say you're outspoken. Them say you're tech-savvy. Them say you're opinionated.
Opinionated?
Them say you don't listen enough.
What you say?
You don't listen enough. Wow. Them say you're excited. Them say you're patriotic. Them say you're culturally aware. JLP and PMP. Them say you're culturally ignorant.
I'm culturally ignorant.
Wow. Them say you're socially
Hey, girl!
Them say you're hungry.
Hungry.
I'm hungry too. Them say you're talented. Them say you're visionary.
I'm a visionary.
Visionary. Them say you're talkative. Talkative? Shh.
We are Jamaicans, youths of the future. Aim for the sky like a rocket launcher. Who say we can't go fast like a surfer? We are Jamaicans, youths of the future.
So that was the way they chose to introduce you to the characteristics of the group. And how we came across the characteristics was just in conversation, asking each person to talk, to say how they found themselves, the youth that they associated with, and what were the qualities that they found most prevalent. All they did was to give it to you in a little DJ method. All right? So the written record will be given to our rapporteur. Thank you. So next we're going to have content areas, which was our second question. What are the areas? What are the interest areas for young people? So here they go.
Good afternoon. Ready? Okay. Good morning. I am a worker at PBCJ, and we have with us here Senali, who is a resident of the rural country, and we'll be asking her a few questions. So Senali, what would you like to see on TV?
I, as a youth, would like to see sports, animation, and history on my television.
Very specific. And why would you like to see this?
Because I believe that sports is an interest of young persons my age. I also believe that animation provides jobs as well as it's something that we'd want to see and sells our culture. And then you have history where it's good to learn about what we can offer and then be able to commercialize such offer.
But these are your opinion. Do you think this will only benefit you and your friends, or will this benefit others?
Of course it will benefit others, because I mean, if I get money, Jamaica gets money, and then Jamaica is a better place. And then if you interest me, then the television programs end up getting more viewership. And we learn about our culture. So of course it benefits more than just me, it benefits everyone.
Thank you, Senali, for your time.
Good afternoon again. Once, as I said before, my name is Floyd Perkins, and me and Gabriel and I will be presenting for our team. All right. So one of the things that we discussed was how the internet makes customization easy. The internet makes customization easy. This, simply put, is basically saying that the internet is a very easy way of filtering unwanted content, meaning you get what you want when you want it. When you want it, as soon as you want it, anytime you want it, basically.
All right, so looking at the internet within our group, you'll hear some more about this when we look at preferred time for viewing content. But what we had looked at for the internet was that having PBCJ broadcasting content on the internet and not just Parliament allows for a wider audience and for more time for persons to consume. We also looked at commercialization of our history, and this was a hot topic because many persons see history as being something boring, and PBCJ is often known for producing long ago shows that persons are interested in and they can pass along culture from that. What we wanted to see was commercialization of our history, getting more persons involved, and we actually came up with a tagline, and it said, "Making brand Jamaica profitable for Jamaicans." And what we wanted to see along this was, as Annalie pointed out in the group, the Patois dictionary was not printed or implemented by anybody Jamaican. France, it's now being put forward, has patented reggae. And so they're benefiting a lot from reggae. So can you imagine that the language we speak, which is Patois, is not the dictionary for it and the Bible and so on. We're not produced by persons who are from here. So what we want to see is commercialization of our history. What can we be taught about things that happened long ago, things that happened in the past, and how can we make money from that or even benefit from it culturally or even financially now?
Another topic that we also stumbled across was animation and movies. More Jamaican animations and movies need to be promoted and incorporated, right? Most of the content that we consume as Jamaicans on a daily basis are from outside countries, such as our Asian soap operas that we watch, our Middle Eastern soap operas, and even Generations, our South African soap operas. And Jamaican cartoons such as Akiwak are not being promoted as much as they should be, considering that they are representing brand Jamaica.
Another thing we also looked at was access to information for young persons and how can this information be promoted. Now, surprisingly for me at the tertiary level, I was really shocked that the number of secondary level students wanted access to information on that level. So we want PBCJ to understand that young persons are hungry for information, they are curious, and it would be in their best interest to produce factual content that's informative for young individuals to have this to be learning from, and how can this be promoted? How can they benefit from this on all levels?
And while on the topic of young people being hungry for information, we also discussed that there needed to be more youth-led and youth-based programs being aired in Jamaica. Programs such as Talk Up Youth, where youths get the opportunity to voice our opinions, right? Because most of the decisions that affect us directly are made by politicians, even teachers or our parents, but we are the ones being affected directly, and we do not get a choice to voice our opinions. That platform is not being provided for us as youth.
Youth in general, boys especially, they have a passion for football. Now, when you look on your television, you would see the Manning Cup matches being broadcasted. You would see Jamaica College and all those matches in the urban area. Now, in the rural area now, let's say, for example, a Carnival College, you're taking on a Manning school. Point of information, when the rural football competition just started, 4 teams were in it. Carnival College, Manning School, Stets, and Rossies. Now, a matchup between the two historical greats, you don't see that being broadcasted on the TV. What we're seeing is those in Kingston. You have some young men in Westmoreland, 10 distinctions in their CXCs, and they're the star on the football field, but yet we don't see them being showcased, unless you're in the urban area. Now, what PBCJ can do is take on those rural area matches. Since we see TVJ showing all those in Kingston area, come down to the west in the rural area and showcase some of the youth there.
Just to top off what Mr. Bowen has said, I can per se speak on that because I'm a player myself. I played in a rural area where I am a very crafty player and no one sees me. I'm a very crafty player because no one sees me. So I'm just asking if we could get some views. Maybe we can be scouted by teams overseas and I can be employed as a professional. And being employed as a professional, I can generate funds and salaries so I can help my family and further scope other talents from the rural areas. So we really need a view, so that's our view.
All right, so while on the topic of youths being showcased, we're not focusing only on sports or football, we're focusing on youth in general. On television currently, there are a number of programs that involve notable accomplishments by individuals being highlighted, and these individuals get the opportunity to be interviewed. And these individuals get the opportunity to be interviewed. But why is it that a number of young people aren't being showcased on these television programs such as Profile, where you have a youth from what you call an innocent community coming out of high school with 10 distinctions, 12 distinctions, but these youths are not being showcased for their achievements after they're coming from a situation where we could even incorporate a program such as Youth Profile, where we just have young people being interviewed for their accomplishments.
And to finish content interest, we looked at liaising with tertiary institutions to package diverse career-related content. Now, a lot of persons within our group are at the secondary level, so they're in high school, looking to move on to university. And a lot of these individuals are very curious about what to do. In our discussions, we said that in this day and age, many persons don't want to be the typical doctor, lawyer, teacher anymore. We're now in a global world. There are no boundaries anymore. So we want to see, what is it that I can do? So we're asking PBCJ, if possible, you can liaise with tertiary institutions to package career-related content for persons at the secondary level and even the tertiary level, even working class individuals, to have an idea of what's out there. Somebody like Jordan, who produces and so on, that's a viable field, that's something that can benefit the country. I do journalism, we have other persons within the arts and so on. How can we make smart, career-savvy decisions? And finally, we looked at wanting to see more diverse representation of rural areas. Now we're seeing persons with a skin color like ours, but we're not necessarily hearing persons who come from the places that we come from. So we're not just an urban country. Jamaica prides itself on being for the countryman in a music video, and when we're showcasing the country, but in our local content, we don't necessarily see ourselves, our families, and our neighbors. So to end content interest, we want to see people who look and sound and live like we do. Thank you.
Exciting, isn't it? Yes. I mean, isn't that what you asked us to do, to agitate for you? Right, so my note taker, Carl Brown, I think we had a very good conversation.
Very, 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 very good conversation, I'd agree.
But I'm thinking, are you seeing anything they didn't say that you find important?
There were a few that were not mentioned, like stress, employment training, Jamaican cartoons, and promoting English and Creole TV. Now, in regards to stress, us as young people, us as millennials, we're often faced with a diversification of things. We might want to do this, we might want to do that, but we don't really know how to manage our time, how to manage our focus, how to manage our effort. Now, if PBCJ seeks to promote content regarding stress management and how to do things like employment training, job creation, persons will more be tuned in, because the age group that we were given was the age 15 to 24. Now, that's the millennial age group. Persons within that age group, some are going to school, some are working. But at the end of the day, we might want to do something. We might not want to settle for what we have, but we really don't know what to get what we want. We feel a certain way, but we don't know how to put our eyes and go forward in that direction. So creating something within that scheme, it does show us that, hey, we can actually tune into PBCJ. Outside of that, how many persons in here can, a song starts to play and you know that song, you can remember it word for word? Show of hands.
And them tired?
Majority of persons. Now, if I were to ask you, that is this. As young people and as old people as well, we tend to remember the lyrics of songs. The older generation, the baby boomers, or the generation X, right?
Nah, not coffee, you know.
What I'm trying to say is that we tend to remember the lyrics of songs more than we actually remember the notes of our teachers. Repetition. What I'm trying to bring across is this. Before I do, Vibes Cartel has a song, and I think it goes something like this. Buckle up your pants and put it on your waist and take up your school book. Now, don't... Persons readily remember. If music videos were to be created from an educated standpoint, especially with persons who are prominent within the media industry, not just prominent ones, but with everybody promoting educated music videos, I guarantee you that students and everybody within the millennial age group will remember and will be able to do things better. Some math concepts, x plus 4 equal y over 2, just remembering things, it will be easier. Yeah, so yes.
All right, so don't move, Carl. We're together in this thing. So the other question that you asked, what are the preferred times? That was the simplest thing, and it took the least amount of time. Basically, we found that youth in school, they tend to watch anytime after 5:30. Some of them even said after 8:30. The UWI student, the only one in the group, said she watches between 8 and 11 if she ever does, because she doesn't like to be tied down in a chair to watch anything. She wants to have access on the go. So she tends to watch what's available on the internet and never PBCJ. Youth entrepreneur says, well, he works late into the night. He's a producer, he's a singer, he's a songwriter. But he gets up about 5:30, and that's when he wants to entertain and relax. So 5:30 to 10:30, the youth at home, that's when they will watch. And they all said...
Just to mention something, Miss Elaine. One of the characteristics that stood out with all of the millennials were tech savvy. And you mentioned that everybody basically, to some extent, want to use their phone.
Yes.
Now, that's one of the platforms that young persons tend to use more than the television. What I'm saying is content going online is an avenue in regards to platform. Yeah. It's also ironic that less than 65% of Jamaicans are without internet at home, yet majority of those persons tend to find ways to get internet to go online. What is that saying? Even though there is a low percentage of persons trying to get internet, there's a push towards getting the internet. The database. Going online is where we should be headed.
Definitely. So that was it. The online component, because they say we want it whenever we want it. We don't want you to limit us to when you think we should have it. Thank you all. Can we have a round of applause for our wonderful team?
Wow. Well, that was really excellent. And thank you, Miss Elaine, agent provocateur, agitating the young people. But agitation is good, because disruption is also good. Yes, ma'am. That's your story, and you're sticking to it. All right, so now, where are we now? Group 3? Group 3 ready? Come, Sir Pinnock. Oh, this looks like it's serious drama coming up now.
All right, thank you so very much. Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. All right, so group 3, interestingly enough, started out as about 6 or 7 persons and grew to about 15 in the course of the conversation. One of the things that we started out by doing, and perhaps first let me allow them to introduce themselves. And so we're going to have an interactive kind of presentation with them doing a presentation at the end. So I'm just going to give the mic over to the person to my immediate right, and that person will introduce himself and pass the mic on. Tell us who you are, where you're from, school, organization, etc.
My name is Nazwarin Kidd, past student of RDNI, but I'm representing PBC Jamaica.
Really? Hi, my name is Simone Absalom, and I represent PBCJ.
Hi, my name is Shanique Myers, and I'm a recent graduate of the Michael University College, and I'm here to facilitate and to capture the ideas of the young people within my team.
My name is DeAndre Stewart, and I'm a current student of the Moshat High School.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarika Crawford. I am from Hanover, and I am a student of the Racines High School.
Hello, everyone. My name is Quantasia Russell. I am from St. Anne, and I am currently a student at the Northern Caribbean University.
Hi, my name is Tamia Taylor. I'm from Hanover and representing the school Hopewell High.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Joel Barrett. I am from Montego Bay, and I represent Cornell College.
Hi, my name is Maritina Mackenzie. I'm from St. Anne, and I represent Abbotsford High.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christian Chamber, the third form student of the Manning School.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Stephen Campbell. I'm a lecturer and the coordinator of the Caribbean School of Media and Communication. I reside in Montego Bay. I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago.
Good afternoon. My name is Ricardo Fairman. I am from Hanover, and I'm a volunteer at Hopewell High School.
Good afternoon. I'm Francis Blythe, teacher at Manning School.
Hello, Jamaica. My name is Bujan Perry, and I'm a member of the Youth Advisory Committee for the PBCJ.
All right, so there you have it, a very diverse group, including, you know, we're not just locally based now. This is CSME style, Trinidadian. We have people from university. We have students at tertiary, secondary, and I guess one could say the lower secondary levels, third form and thereabouts. So effectively, what we did was, in looking at how to produce this content, I felt that it was important for us to begin with looking at what it is that people are interested in seeing, and what is it that explains what the issues surrounding consumption of media as it relates to the PBCJ, what those are. And most of the people, and I'm just going to give the microphone to random people to tell you about that. One of the things that they said, initially, I had 3 people who knew what the PBCJ was, knew about it. And at the time, 4 persons who did not, so that was a total of 7. We didn't get a chance to ask the others who came in after. But what was interesting about what they said was that those who did know about the PBCJ
only consumed it at least once a month and invariably under 5 minutes at a time. And so what that meant was there's clearly something that the PBCJ was not doing to attract this audience. And they felt they had a number of different ideas as to how the PBCJ could reach out to them by producing content and putting them at the center of the production of that content. So just to say, I don't know who necessarily wants to take that, that they use for short form content was Lime Tree Lane. And the conversation around that was Lime Tree Lane was interesting. And perhaps it is that I should allow them to tell you why they were interested in Lime Tree Lane and whether or not they feel that Lime Tree Lane represents a model of short form content that could be produced to engage their ages and beyond. Who wants to take that first? Well, they watch the PBCJ.
Well, when the question was posited to me about if I know about the PBCJ, I know that the PBCJ does exclusive Jamaican content. But while I'm bored, going to the flow guide, yeah. So it was upon in one scrolling while I saw something called Lime Tree Lane, and it stirred in me a memory of mommy speaking about Lime Tree Lane. I'm like, okay, what is it about? Upon viewing it now, I got to understand what she was talking about, and it's actually a nice way to get to watch it. That's just my perspective.
Okay. Anyone else wants to tell us what the interest in Lime Tree Lane was? I mean, you had so many ideas. Come, now is not the time to be shy.
All right. Personally, I was one of the persons in the group who only viewed PBCJ while I was scrolling for a channel. So probably just for 2 minutes in the month, I would view PBCJ. So one of the things that brought me to PBCJ through scrolling was that I saw Lime Tree Lane, and I also heard about it from my parents. I heard that it was fun, so I wanted to see what it's about. But based on the nature of it, based on the fact that it's not current, so it's outdated. So I wasn't necessarily intrigued for that long. So channel.
I see. Something else that came up was that they felt that the material that the PBCJ was producing was old and the quality was not very good, and so that they felt that one of the ways of producing short-form content would be arresting images, things that were being pushed to them all over the place. And I want to turn to Mr. Campbell, is it, who spoke about the need for content to be in places where young people are consuming it. And he can explain the differences between, S content and M content? E and S, and he's going to tell you what that is about. Same thing, E and M. All right, he's the best person to tell you about that, so let me allow him to say.
Well, the trends suggest that the era of E, as in online information, is quickly being phased out. I mean, you have societies that, for example, like India and those places where it's now M governance, so it's not even E governance. You can vote, in the local national election, and something % penetration, which means that someone has at least one device, and a household can have, one person can have 2 devices, and so people are accessing most of their information from these and from these without even going to their laptop or sitting behind a computer. With that trend comes the fact that people are browsing less. And the statistics show that as the years go by, people browse less and people want more things pushed to them. So whereby you would sign on to YouTube now, you have the YouTube app, and the YouTube app gives you a notification to say that PBCJ just uploaded a video, right? And so you click on the notification that will mobile services. Mobile isn't just the device. Mobile is the ability to move that content and take that content and interact with that content anywhere, right? And we need to be thinking beyond that, because whereas people used to use their laptops less, people are going to be using their phones less because they can use the smartwatches more. and they can use the Google Glass more. And pretty soon it might be contacts that you're probably staying off in space and people think you're going crazy, but you're looking at the content through your contact lenses. And so I think this is a very excellent approach, and I think we, in tandem with finding out what people want now, we can create a think tank with youth and also all across, because I really don't think the concept of young and old, even that is being erased, because some people.
All right, and so what they're effectively saying, certainly from the conversation that we had, was that the way to produce this content is to go into the places that the technology is taking us. And one of the issues that came up for discussion, and I really would like to include some of the shyer ones, which they will get a chance to speak, you will see at the end, because they came up with program ideas, you know, and they're going to pitch that to you. One of the things that they talked about was, we had this very vibrant discussion about should the PBCJ be free to air, or should it be, you know, online? Is there need for one or the other or both? And I'm not sure who here wants to, you know, to give us some insights into whether or not you think there is value in a strictly online approach or a free-to-air approach, and if you think that is going to get the short-form content, get the audience in there, because remember, you know, only 3 people said they knew about the PBCJ, and of that 3, they only consumed it once per month and under 5 minutes. So what that is to say, the concern they're having is that the PBCJ is not accessible. There is an issue about the fact that it is on cable. There's an issue about the fact that it is on flow. And, you know, there are all these issues that need to be navigated. So who wants to give us some more insights into that conversation? Everybody had Shanique, perhaps?
All right, good afternoon again. So from our discussion, the conclusion that we came to is that the majority of young people know they have access to their cell phones. We're always on the go. So if the PBCJ wants to really get through to us, they need to develop an app. Just like we spend time on Instagram or we do spend time on Facebook, if they should have an app, then more of us would gravitate towards that, because you can go to the Google store, you can go to the App Store, and you can just download. So each time they have something that they want to get to us, we will get that notification through that app, and then we can say, okay, then something important is coming on, so we can tune in to the PBCJ. So that is what we came up with.
Anyone else?
So basically, we decided, well, in conclusion, that we would want both platforms, where the online would not only have content, but also allow us to use it more as a marketing tool to drive persons to watch our channel, but mostly online, because it also came out that in this section of the island, most people don't have access to cable.
Into 2 groups, and we came up effectively with program ideas that we wanted to showcase. And I'm just really going to give it over to them now. We have 2 groups, 1 and 2. They'll tell you the name of the programs, they'll tell you the format, the duration, etc., etc., etc.
Good evening, everyone. My group came up with the program Wrong Move, which is basically a Jamaican drama. The demographic we're aiming to please is 14 to 24, mostly males, because the show has a male protagonist in it. And the film.
Okay, so we're looking at a young man in conflict in terms of which direction to go in terms of the influences of his friends. So this young man has positive friends who influence and those who have negative influence. And so he's in a state of conflict.
All right, some more information about this proposed drama piece. So it's basically about the life experiences of a successful university professor during his teenage years, from living with his single mother, dealing with not having a father around him, as I said. So what this seeks to highlight is the fact that no matter your obstacles, that are put in your life, you can overcome once you have positive people around you. It's very important to have positive people around you, people who share the same dreams, because they will be able to motivate you when you don't have the motivation, you don't have motivation within yourself. So that's very important. And the proposed time was 6 p.m. on a Saturday evening, mainly because most young persons would be home during that time.
And one other thing is that this program is effectively being used as a means of counseling young people about how to make positive decisions. It will be serialized. It will more or less be in a short form using a sort of soap opera type. We're following up each week, a new version of or a new chapter in the story is being told from the perspective of this youthful university professor person who is looking back on his life, and rather than telling us, they will demonstrate on.
Okay, so
the show is about dysfunctional family, with a TV show host going into various communities looking for dysfunctional families and trying ways to help them. In episode 1 of season, we have the Pennycock family, which contains 2 parents who are constantly fighting over issues, and we have 3 parents. 3 children, sorry. And the name of the show is Wataguana Yard.
Okay. So the show is developed. It's going to be 15 minutes long per episode, so that it will not, so that the persons who are watching it won't lose interest, and so it will work also online as well as on the television. And we are also trying to promote values, family values, highlight the issues in various communities. So we did a pilot. So we're going to play it for you. Bear in mind that this was not done with all the technical machinery. So, ready?
Back to another episode of Wagwan Yard. I'm your host Caroline, and today's episode we're going to be joining the Wilcox family to see what is it that are their issues and how we're going to move forward. Stay tuned as we join them live.
You gonna pick up the pen in them yet?
Hello, me, man.
That's why I can't deal with you and you never, want to know. Why aren't you a father? You don't even know where your children are. What a tree pin of them there.
Hey, Christy,
you don't ever work.
Ball, me, I play now.
I mean, you're gonna play ball. I need this family meeting right now. Nothing not going on well in this family. Yeah, where you coming from? Where you coming from?
I'm chill now, man. You see me just burn some high trees. Go easy.
This is all your fault. I know you want to talk to him. No, you want to talk to him when the tree gone past.
Are you going to take off, eh?
Me? No, sir.
Him chat too much. You chat too much.
I can't even believe it. Where's Joel Jr.? Joel Jr.?
Joel? Yeah.
You
Take
see?
a pack of cigarette.
You're not the perfect son.
Yo, Campbell, forward, man. A long time.
Listen, we can't even do right now. We can't even do right now. No father here. No father. I'm the only one here. I'm the only one here.
Can't bother with them. I just stress me out and make me feel like I don't want to eat. I don't want to go to school. I not even do good in my school work.
Oh, you stressed? Oh, I expect
Shut
an A
up,
from me
shut
every
up,
single week.
shut
Oh,
up.
it's fine.
Yeah,
Joel,
Joel. Caroline, you see what I have to work with?
I am seeing what is happening.
You see
and
what I have to
do-
work with in this family?
I do think it's an issue of communication. Why is it that you're going to make that conclusion, Mr. Pennycock? She's your wife.
So she still.
Are you saying
All we want is this.
He never has time for me. Never has time for the family. He's always smoking a cigarette or going to play football.
Are you taking the time out to find out why is it that she feels pressured?
Who you think teach Joe maths? Eh? You never ask him? You ever ask him? Who teach him?
Do you know that you have 2 other children?
Ain't good, man. Ain't good, man.
Do you think, Mr. Campbell, do you think that there's something more that you could do, Mr. Pennycock? Anything else? Because your daughter seems to be depressed and your son over there.
Well, I ask she that if she can do more and chat less.
Well, as a mother, where do you think the issue lies within this family?
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it is that she said my daughter doesn't like it when we cuss. So maybe if we stop cuss so much in
So
front
could you
of her.
stop arguing in front of the children, at least try to resolve the issues without them knowing what is going on?
Yeah, man, we can't reason, man. We don't need to shout.
Exactly.
Shouting is my problem, because as a man, when a woman shout after you, you lock down, you top chat. Might as well go play ball.
I see. So that is your means of escaping
Yes.
what you consider
Yes.
to be the night.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, at least if not beat me like Miss Jean husband or next door.
See, so it does show that you guys do love each other. So how about trying to resolve it and speaking with the children, talk to them and see what are their concerns, what is it?
Okay, so everybody I will stop there. Well, at the time, there is more, but so basically, the idea is, you want, is to grab your interest, right? So this can be done, we discussed having the content be created by the students, the youngsters themselves. So our cameraman was one of the youngsters there, our production assistant was a student, and the actors and actresses were all students. So it's content that you can shoot with your mobile devices. This was shot on an iPad. So it can be planned.
So there you see, in their own words and in their own voices. So just to repeat that, one of the things that we felt was, in order to make the PBCJ more accessible to the youth, it needs to be talking to them where they are. And it needs to use them, takes that into account in terms of the research. A variety of formats are needed, of course, clearly. One of the things that struck me, interestingly, is that a lot of what they would like to see are programs that are educational, but are not necessarily intended to be, and I mean, I use this big word purposefully, didactic, meaning the chalk and talk, teacher standing in the room. But they would like to see people going through their experiences, showing them how they overcame some of these things. And as they said, the content must be available in multiple formats in various places so that they can consume it on the go whenever it is that they're ready. Obviously, if the PBCJ does not do that, then clearly the numbers of persons who are interested, who watch, will continue to decrease. So that's something to think about in the context of budget. Thank you so very much. And thank you all so very much. Very helpful group of people. All right.
Wow, I really think we can give a greater round of applause for that. I mean, they actually shot a film in the time. I think that was absolutely amazing. I think all the groups have been quite amazing. Clap on yourself. And I think the very creative way in expressing the ideas and the recommendations have just been really good. I was taking copious notes. I know Keith was taking notes as well. Our deputy chairman, he was here nodding his head through and through and through. So I didn't see what you were doing, Kamara. You were taking lots of notes to take back to the minister to say, send some money to PB. That short film, done on the fly, so to speak, dealing with an issue that is very real and germane to many families across our country. I mean, the issue of tension in the family between husband and wife, or man and woman. And it had me just reflecting on a particular statistic that we have had to struggle with as a country over the past 5 to 10 years at least, that 37% of the murders committed in Jamaica are domestically related. They came out of situations like that. And we know of situations in our country where people who know each other, who claim to love each other and care about each other, taking a life, That alone, I think, it had me riveted to it. And it had me thinking that, yes, we should maybe have our people trapped in some of these situations, having a window on themselves. And I think this is what PBCJ can do very powerfully. I found it amazing that it was done using a phone, a smartphone. I mean, the camera angles, you know, the people who are shooting clearly had a sense of angles and composition and capped via social media, Twitter or Facebook. Next 15 minutes, program uploaded, people tune in, and we can build that audience online very easily. And we can also direct the people who won't go online but who will watch at home to tune in at XYZ time to see very real drama, real things done, but that capture slices of Jamaican life and just really help us to maybe deal with some of those very difficult issues that we have to confront. We know this domestic violence is a major thing. We know more women are going to school than men. We know women in our country have English in such powerful ways that just cut into the man, and the man lacking in vocabulary and capacity to respond. You know, this guy tried very best, our treaty friend. Stefan, good to meet you. But most Jamaican men in situations like that one, unfortunately respond in brute force. And it leads to major things like death, murder. So this is one way we can use media very powerfully to address a thorny issue in our country. And we could claim to the Minister of National Security that we helped to bring down the crime rate by getting more people to be less violent in their conversations and in the home. So, Keith, I don't know if that captured. I would love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear the Deputy Chairman. Chairman, you're a man who have to deal with these issues every day in church, in communities, as our young people have so documented and shared with us today how we can use media in a very powerful way to do some very important things in the country. You want to stay there or you want to? Yeah, stay there.
I'm glad you say that, Mark, because in recent times I have been talking to my youth in the church that we must find innovative ways of reaching our young people. And it's not my ideas. I am an older youth, and I no longer think like the millennials do. And so I need around me persons who think like them, who speak like them, can reach our young people through social media. And what I see this evening is just impressive. And I'm hoping that, can't promise you that everything that has been said and put together will get out there, but we will ensure from a policy directive that things happen. We must reach our young people, and the way we reach them must be in an effective way where they understand, and we develop programs and contents that they will appreciate and they will want to see. I'm also hearing some of the same thing that happened in Kingston, ESN too, and I know that Mr. Campbell will speak to this more, but I'm happy to hear that there's a move to bring PBCJ on other platforms in Montego Bay, just on the flow, because though we have flow, but I think the vast majority of persons in Western Jamaica do not have flow either. And so that's something that I'm happy that we're looking into.
Okay, I'll come to you, Keith, but I just want to say that, when we come to sessions like these, we get very idealistic, very creative, and we get very hopeful. And we are teeming with ideas that we want to see implemented. And many of these ideas will require money, will require resources. Over lunch at my table, I had an interesting talk with the persons there, especially Gabriella. Gabriella is going to NCU. Did I get the name right? It's Gabrielle. Gabrielle. Yes, they have Gabrielle on here, but Gabrielle. And Gabriel was saying, yes, we'll give you ideas, and we have lots of ideas as young people, but will they ever get implemented? And it's a very important question. I think what's important is that we need to see what we're doing as a starting point that can catalyze a lot of things. And certainly, I sit on the PBCJ board. I have a very strong interest in the programming. I have a very strong result of the programming. But I'm aware that we don't have sufficient resources, and we may never have sufficient resources. But I'm also acutely aware that there are things that we invest inside of what we are trying to do. So I think, as I said to Gabriel, and I would say to all the young people gathered here today, is that we need to be a part of a movement to change things. You are very conversant with the ideas, with the stories, and with all that's happening inside of your community. And what the PBCJ, by reaching out and arms and expression, and to start something, and we have to blue sky on things. If you think about money and resources at the outset of every idea, it kills it on the vine. And so we have to start, and we have to commit ourselves. So, I think the thing I would like to say is just don't leave this room today and say, oh, it was a great time, I got very expressive, and I got very creative. But you have to go back to your spheres of operations, and you have to think about, how am I going to bring life to what I said today to the PBCJ board and management, and all the team members gathered here capturing this on film. What it is a very good word here. If you choose to be disruptive and demand of your public broadcaster that, hey, we are young people and we want this, and we're prepared not just to want it by saying we want it, but we're doing things to help you to bring it about, it will happen. And we will get the resources, and we will get sponsors, and it will force our political authorities to also look into this, because young people have tremendous power to get things done. So I want to say this, I want to declare this in this meeting, because I personally believe in it, that we can get things happening. And what happened in Kingston forced us as a board and as a corporation to take this matter very seriously. And that's why we're spending the money to also do it here in Montego Bay, because we feel we're onto something, and we feel that we don't just want to let it go, but we want to bring it to a point of yes, Elaine. You have to take the mic, because we need to capture. But we want to capture everything on tape. You're a broadcaster, you know these things.
I'm being disobedient, hush. So at the table, I just want to relay a challenge. What I think is not happening is that nationally, we're under the oppression of believing that we don't have resources. We all are under this oppression, nationally and personally, and it's not true. So what Gabriel said that he didn't say to you, which I want to communicate, is that there are institutions, and I think, Noreen? Right. So the NCU and a lot of other institutions in Jamaica already have campuses. They have rooms full of equipment where they can produce programs. They have the young people with the intellect and capacity to write, produce, and edit those programs. And they would not mind presenting those programs to the public through PBCJ at no cost to PBCJ. So I think the challenge is for PBCJ to liberate itself from the consciousness of no resources and to begin to look at where are the resources.
To broadcasting and into television, out of a club, in his school. And I said to him, Keith, but... So that's the platform I'm going to bring on, Keith. That's a setup.
Yeah, it's not actually a setup, it's the way we we plan to go. I just want to clarify a number. Could not have said it any better. But realization is that with regards to coverage of football, especially the Acosta Cup, and you know, I can recall when I was at Stets and we started playing the Acosta Cup, we used to get the 16 from Cornwall and the 17 from Monroe. 17 and 11, nil I'm talking about. And now we are, you know, a school that you have to reckon with. We were more cricketing school rather than a football school to start out with. So I am like you, I share that concern. And in another life, at another station, and if you go back and you check the history of coverage of football, it was more evenly done at a particular era in time. The problem with that now is that commercialization of ISA products have restricted some broadcasting entities from televising and even carrying them on radio. And so as much as the PBCJ would like to, you know, become a part, the broadcast of these football matches, which are so competitive and more popular than the Premier League in our country, that we are restricted because of rights ownership. But to answer that more specifically, content around these ISA competitions can be created. And that is a good transition into what Mark just spoke to. The fact that there can be collaborative efforts between or among the institutions with the equipment and personnel to produce even what we call preview and shows about particular matches, and to give exposure to talent that would not have been covered by these so-called rights owners, because they just cover the matches and you don't get any, you don't delve into the players, their academic performance, their skills, and so many other things about the players. So that can be created. To move on to the technical, you cannot have public broadcasting service without its accessibility. Public broadcasting means that you must have access. And in particular today, on all platforms, we are restricted to cable because of an historical transition from the JBC to another entity that is commercial, where the entire backbone of the transmission services of the JBC was sold lock, stock, and barrel to that particular entity that are JBC. And that's why we are restricted to cable distribution. However, we are making every effort. The board is supportive of what we're doing, and the government realizes that we must be accessible if we are going to be effective as a public broadcasting entity. And their discussion is continuing or is going on, and with the technology that we have in place today, you, in a very short time, I hope, begin to get PBCJ on all platforms. We have some young people on staff that are as adamant about getting PBCJ out there on mobile apps and every other means of content distribution. And they are the driving force in addition to policymakers. So I'll pause there, and then I'll...
Authorship or ownership towards the contents. Well, I must say, as a musician, you can gain ownership by making a deal with such persons, because to me, PBCJ is a
publisher, right? You publish things on televisions, radio, etc. So as a publisher, and to the contents right owners that own these contents, you can actually make a deal with them to say, for instance, because every contents right owner, because I'm a copyright owner as well of my music, so everyone that owns a copyright or content actually owns 200% of 30% goes towards the publishing, and another 30 towards the monetization, or 10% towards monetization. Because remember, on YouTube, everything that you watch on YouTube, you have to pay for it. You might not pay it physically, right? But you have to pay just by watching, like the views and so forth, etc. So by the views, you actually gain back a percentage once it is monetized through those platforms. So as a reminder, before we leave here today, I would like to say, if you're getting, just talk to all of those content rights providers, ask them that you want to make a deal with them to have their content on PBCJ, which I know they'll say yes, because, right? And settle a ratio with them, or a pro rata share with them. So so when these contents are provided on multiple platforms, the PBCJ will be able to track the events, monetization events and so forth, etc. So even if it's placed on YouTube, you can monetize the plays, the views, etc., etc. So during down the line, it will be able.
I fully understand where you're going, but I was speaking specifically of the schoolboy football broadcast that one of your team members spoke to. But we accept the principle in general.
It's just something that I needed to say in terms of the production of short-form content. One of the things that we talked about was like internships and attachments with the PBCJ. Young persons.
That's what I was going to speak to next.
Right, and so they would come in probably for a summer. And I just sat here and I thought that perhaps also a competition, you know, somebody who could suggest something like this, a pilot, and you select from that, have them come and do attachments, because also it's a skills development, capacity building, and ensuring that the two groups, the very young and the not so very young, that is maintained. So just wanted to add that, because we didn't articulate that as clearly.
Let's take that other question there quickly.
And then I just want to wrap. Yeah. Question?
Tara?
Yeah, I'm asking Team 2 a question, really. Just very quickly. Really good to be here and to kind of tie together some of the themes from the last consultation. I'm interested in how it is that there is an inflection here that happens because it's the rural area. But Team 2, did you have any specific ideas about how it is that PBCJ can assist young people in preparing for exams, for example? I mean, the last consultation we had, they had some ideas about how it is that PBCJ can be really relevant in terms of buttressing subject areas and content for young people in school and curriculum content. So whoever wants to answer it, but I know that Team 2 was dealing with that. So that's my question.
Yeah.
Was there a question I saw over there?
Oh, okay. All right.
Let's just take Team 2. Quick response to that.
For students, to assist students in exams, should I stand? I'm rise. To assist our students, we also was discussing that teachers could be a part of the programming team that makes these things available on popular social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter, if there's an account linked to your station, and YouTube. So wherever these students have access, they can go there and get them. You would have made them seasonal, so they would know that CXC stuff will be coming out at this point in time, or GSAT, etc. And you will make them user-friendly and attractive. So yes, we had, even though it was not in the display, we had some form of discussion about it. Another idea that came up was that PBCJ could be present in schools, just like um, all the other media houses, you find some reason to find yourself in schools and get the students familiarized with you. So whenever we say, you know, PBC radio on YouTube, them say, oh, at a station where they come to my school. All right, me go watch and see what them have. You get the point? Yes.
That is precisely what I was going to add and wrap up, because this, as the chairman said and Mark pointed to earlier, is our intent. This is something that we want to commit to. This is not coming together and then we are going to just forget about it. We have already begun to take the steps necessary to have students that have been involved in these consultations and beyond. The Secretariat has all the information that we need to keep in touch, to stay in touch. We will already have appointed, as you have heard, the Youth Advisory Programs Committee, and they will be sitting on over a period of time to consult with our programs and production department. We'll be going to the schools, and we will be selecting a number of students from schools and communities with the help of the SDC to bring together the ideas, and not only the ideas, but to train those of you who will require the training so that you'll be capable of producing all of these ideas so that they can be outputted through our station. And so, having said all of that, we are going to ensure that action, and our youth ambassador just reminded me that it is one of the first set of consultations that we have, that he has been to, and he is actually seeing things being done. It's just not meeting and then we forget about everything that was said today. This is going to be action in motion, and I can guarantee you that that will take place.
Okay. I want to just quickly say, if you were here this morning and you were listening to when I was giving my greeting, I'm not for tokenistic events, and I will not be the face of any tokenist. So I would not be sitting here if I did not know that what your recommendations that you give today will be actionized. I'm not talking about next year. I'm talking about very soon. And as I sit as a member of the Youth Advisory Programs Committee, I wrote down your recommendations, I wrote down some of what you said, and we're really looking forward to ensuring that maybe by this year should end, some of these things can be accomplished. Because, you see, I have been to too many consultations where I have to get really upset and have to cuss people, and we can't say it in a Jamaican terms, I have to cuss people, right? Because I'm just there, and the information that is being presented is already set. You know, you're presenting something to me that is already done. You know, it's polished, and you're just showing me what's happening. But what I've seen PBCJ done is that they have taken it from the grassroots. So you're here, you're feeding us with the information, and trust me, as I sit at this table, I will be ensuring that your recommendations move forward.
Okay, great. Is this mic working? Okay, so now we're pretty much at the end. Thank you, Kimario. We have a friend in court. Things that we can do. You're taking away your props? Okay. I think it's important that we leave today committing to building a community among ourselves. So I do believe we have his email address.
Yes, this second consultation, not necessarily East versus West, but as a total committee, because the ideas, they didn't go very far, they didn't vary, right? what we heard from the East is what we're hearing in the West. Maybe some more emphatically than some, but we pretty much, you're speaking with one voice as a youth of this country. And we are listening, and through this committee, we're going to ensure, as Kamaria just said, that all of these ideas, as much as possible, will be done. We are very innovative, right? We have to find innovative ways of getting these things done, right? As much as quality is important, we will get these features done, or whatever we want to call them, program features, vignettes, whatever it is. And we will ensure that they're exhibited. And not only on the PBCJ, I guarantee you, they will be exhibited elsewhere. Not only on the platforms, on your phones, elsewhere.
All right, this has to be the last question.
I know you're trying to wrap up. In regards to what you just said about the quality, in regards to what Mr. Lane said about the universities, the productions that we do produce, they are quality-based productions which can be aired on PBCJ. So
I'm very much aware of what is produced by NCU and CARMAC and other institutions who have schools of communication, and so I'm very much aware. We have had collaborations with NCU, for example, and a number of other.
So as my friend had mentioned, he said something, we need to build the community. Personally, I think the community has already been built as the Public Broadcasting Commission, but now we need to outsource other persons and get them into the community. And that outsourcing happens within universities, within other agencies that deal with media
content. That's why I mentioned the SDC, for example.
And NCU, and UE, and UTech, and the CMI, and all of them.
We'll remember everybody.
Everybody.
Okay, one last one, because they're going to pull the plug on us.
Ian McIntosh is in here.
Ian McIntosh.
And this is a public service announcement. Just in case you want to showcase youth, not necessarily from a school or a university, but just we regular way in a community, we form a little community club and I feed the homeless people, and I chop some bush, and have some art and craft. Just check the Police Youth Club Council of St. Anne, just link me. We have the material. We're just ready for show Jamaica what we have. So them can say whether they are, I do some good something and I make people stop the crime, and all of them something and I keep some youth off of the street and make them stop smoke ganja. You know the thing go? Thank you very much.
Okay, excellent. Okay, we have to wrap, because this tends to happen at all consultations like this, and we're going to close the session formally. You can continue your comments after. But I wanted to just make the point that we want to not lose this conversation. We want to build a sort of online community that we can continue talking and communicating, and you keep feeding your ideas into us, and we keep in touch, because we don't want this to die. We want to seriously consider the PBCJ Club concept. It's just conceptual at this point. But this is certainly something that if it's going to happen in a big way, it will depend on you. Many of you made the point about rural versus urban, that we're not covering you enough. Well, give us compelling reasons to make sure that the rural voice and the rural face is featured on the PBCJ. And of course, the whole matter of interests and competitions, I think that's a no-brainer. I think that's something to pursue. Ultimately, I think if we pursue this angle of youth engagement, of collaboration, we can grow the business of PBCJ. It is actually, I'm seeing it as a sort of growth area to boost the viewership, to increase income, to attract income. There are more development money out there that will go into youth. So I think we have kind of stumbled upon ourselves. We had one big forum that wasn't about youth entirely, and the youth voice came out so loudly, so clearly, and it has resulted in all of this happening. So I think we're onto something big. So I want to thank you all for your time today. I want to thank the teachers over there. They for themselves today. But I'm sure they found this very engaging and that they'll be going back to their institutions to talk to their school leadership about this and their students. I want to thank Elaine Wint, particularly for being here. She'll never know just how important her presence is and what she represents and just the value she has added. Certainly to the other facilitators. Noreen Daly from NCU, who I met today. Yes, you're a star. You have all your fans over on this table. I certainly want to also thank Agostino Pinnock. Heard a lot about you. Your fame precedes you, but I saw you in action today. And all the note takers and Tara, who has been listening to all the conversations and will now pull together. I can see members of the staff who are very keen on it. PBCJ has a predominantly young staff, and I think they sense and feel the energy. Yeah, everybody here from PBCJ, you're young. Leonie is the youngest of all of us. Lots of energy. It's not you, Absalom. Oh, yes. How old do you think I am? Anyway, let's talk about that after. Trust me, you have very youthful thinking on the board. You have very innovative ideas, and people want to move the organization forward. We're going to move forward, all right? And we're going to move with you. And a child shall lead them. You're providing, even without unwittingly, a lot of energy to the PBCJ just by being here and just by your ideas and what you stand for. So I want to thank you all today. It feels fitting that we should have a prayer, and we have a bishop, a reverend in our midst. So I'm going to invite everyone to stand. Let us commit what we have heard and spoken of today. We want all these ideas to be sealed inside of our hearts. That just doesn't become talk or the fruit of our imagination, but it becomes things that we hold deeply in our hearts. If we do that, we will pursue these things with vigor and vitality, and we will have the outcomes that we want. So I'm going to invite the Reverend Pitkin to just bless us as we depart.
Thank you. May I invite you to bow your heads with me. I want to first thank God for a beautiful day and what has been accomplished over the past few hours. I want to thank Him for our beautiful Island home. And we thank God for giftings and abilities. As we travel from here, the carnages on the road. While we were here this morning, we heard they were one in Bogue. But we pray for guidance and traveling mercies. So, Father, as we bow our hearts before you, in recognition of your sovereignty over our lives, we ask you for your guidance. We thank you that your presence has been with us through this day. We thank you for what has been achieved. And dear Lord, we look forward to those who will seriously examine the results of today. It is not just another time of meeting for discussions and talking, making friends, and have a good time, but to implement the ideas so we can be better able to reach and be a part of educating our young people, and in so doing, educating our nation. Grant us traveling mercies. Remember the board of directors, the managers, the administrative staff, the CEO, every person that works with PBCJ. Thank you for the planning and organizing committee, for the chairman, whose brainchild it is, as he wants to see us going forward. We give you thanks today, and we thank you for taking us from here to our home safely. Grant these we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Walk good.
And good up here will follow you. Okay, everyone, have a good evening, and we see you soon.